open tonight. There's a lot of controversy over this one.
This really is the end of an era. Blockbuster will close all of its remaining stores.
It is a sign of the time. The movie gallery hit the stop button for good. Hollywood Video is closing nearly all of its metro area stores.
Absolutely no one under 17 will be admitted.
Hi everybody, welcome back to VCR Horrors. My name is Wade, I'm your host, and we are sitting inside the Atomic Video Store. We are actually sitting inside part of the set that I stole from my movie, Friday Night Frights, and have set up a makeshift horror section here due to this pandemic.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna call the boss. Bert, Frank, we have a little problem.
So tonight we are going to rent the punk rock horror comedy classic, Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead chronicles a bumbling pair of employees at a medical supply warehouse who accidentally release a lost chemical weapon into the air.
Hey, these things don't leak, do they?
Leak? Hell no. These things were made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
The vapors cause the dead to reanimate, forcing a group of nearby punk rockers to fight a growing horde of fast-moving, clever zombies as they go on a rampage seeking their favorite new form of food, human brains.
What the hell's going on, Bert? The brain! The brain! I hit the fucking brain!
So as your friendly neighborhood video store clerk, I'm going to give you some fun facts about Return of the Living Dead. Originally written as a true sequel to Night of the Living Dead by George Romero's former business partner, Return was developed originally as a 3D movie to be directed by last week's director, Tobe Hooper. He bailed out to make the awesome space vampire epic Life Force. Screenwriter Dan O'Bannon of Alien and the massively underrated Dead and Buried would take the wheel as director on the condition that he could rewrite and completely change the concept. Because he didn't want to step on George Romero's toes creatively, which was an especially good idea in the end since the film would eventually be released less than a month after George Romero's Day of the Dead in 1985.
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. That's the one where the corpses start eating the people, right? Sure. What about it?
Did you know that movie was based on a true case?
Oh, come on, you're shitting me, right?
I ain't never been more serious in my life.
That's not possible. I mean, they showed zombies taking over the world.
Well, they changed it all around. What really happened was, back in 1969 in Pittsburgh at the VA hospital, there was a chemical spill, and all that stuff kind of leaked down into the morgue, and it made all the dead bodies kind of jump around as though it was alive.
What chemical?
2,4,5-trioxin, it's called. It was to kind of spray on marijuana or something, and the Darrow Chemical Company was trying to develop it for the Army. And they told the guy who made the movie that if he told the true story, they'd just sue his ass off, so he changed all the facts around.
So what really happened?
Well, they closed it all down, see? And the Army shipped all that contaminated dirt and all those dead bodies out. And they kept it a secret.
Well, so how come you know about it?
What typical Army fuck up? The transportation department got the orders crossed. And they shipped those bodies here instead of to the Darrow Chemical Company.
Two of the main characters of the movie are actually named Bert and Ernie, which ironically is accidental. There is no relation, or at least they claim that there's no relation to Sesame Street.
Sometimes Ernie Kaltenbrunner works late on Friday nights.
Well, who's Ernie Kaltenbrunner?
He's the embalmer at the mortuary across the street.
The character of Ernie actually has a fascinating backstory. He may or may not be an escaped Nazi war criminal. They have hidden like photos of Eva Braun around the mortuary. He is listening to, Nazi like German marching music, carries a German pistol, has the bleach blonde hair. So I thought that was kind of an interesting character twist that this guy, you know, may or may not be a Nazi war criminal.
Look at it. It's coming down like einen betrunkenen Soldat.
Return of the Living Dead was also famous for a couple things. One, it introduced the idea of eating brains for zombies, which has become a pop culture kind of phenomenon. The idea of fast-running, semi-intelligent zombies was really first explored in Return of the Living Dead. It wasn't the slow, shambling Romero zombies. I mean, these guys hauled ass.
What the fuck are we gonna do now? Find a phone, call the cops. What the fuck? Jesus H. Christ. Holy shit!
So you had a different type of zombie, not to mention the fact that it was comedy and there was so much great stuff in it.
How do you kill something that's already dead?
Well, how do I know, Fred? I don't know. Let me think.
It's not a bad question, Bert. In that movie, they destroyed the brain to kill him. Is that what they did?
The brain.
Right!
What do doctors use to crack skulls with?
Surgical drills.
Here, hold this, Frank.
Oh.
Now listen to me, both of you, very carefully. Freddie, you gotta open that door. Come here. You stand right over here. Frank, right here, and when it comes out, you brain it with that axe.
Oh, Jesus!
Well, how am I gonna stop it from moaning? What's the matter with you, Frank?
One of the things that I always tried to do after I saw this movie in the theater, once it came out on home video, you could actually pause the movie, because at the theater I was like, what the hell did that say? In one scene, there is an eye chart on the wall, and you can tell it's been handwritten and is very deliberately shot. The eye chart on the wall actually says, Bert is a slave driver and a cheap son of a bitch who's going bald too. Ha ha. Awesome little bit of world building and character development from the art department on that one.
In the dark of the night, something strange is going on.
You see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Sure.
They ship those bodies. Well, say hello.
The dead have risen from the grave.
Mister, there's 100 of those things out there.
How many did you say?
100?
And now the question is, how do we get them back into the ground?
Bert, Frank, we have a little problem.
4 left. 10 right.
It's all over everything! Stupid asshole! Watch your tongue, boy, if you like this job! Like this job!
Brain.
Medical science is baffled.
And it's a puzzle, because technically, you're not alive.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
How do you kill something that's already dead?
Well, how do I know, Fred? I don't know. Let me think.
It's not a bad question, Bert. In that movie, they destroyed the brain to kill him. Is that what they did?
The brain.
Right!
Brain! The brain! I hit the brain! Oh! Get it off! 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 Get it off!
The military is nervous.
How was your day?
Usual crap.
The police are confused.
Send more cops.
It worked in the movie! Well, it ain't working now. Brain the movie line!
It's not a bad question, Bert. It's not a bad question, Bert. It's not a bad question, Bert.
The return of the living dead.
So in 1985, when I saw Return of the Living Dead, the soundtrack blew me away. It was my first real experience to actually hearing punk music. You had seen punks on, you know, the news, and oh my God, is your child turning into a punk? But I hadn't really experienced the music side of it. There was no real internet at that point, so unless you had friends who were listening to punk, you were kind of left out. I'd been raised on a diet of old school country music from my parents and listening to my sister's 70s and 80s old, you know, like rock and hair metal through the cooler vent in our house. So my introduction to a lot of like early, you know, a lot of mid-80s punk music was actually thanks to Return of the Living Dead. The soundtrack has actually, is one of those soundtracks that I have had on every format. I had it on LP, I had it on cassette, I had it on CD, and now, right now, if you walk out to my car, there's an MP3, a thumb drive loaded with MP3s plugged into my stereo that has the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack on it. So up until 1985, I had occasionally picked up like the Warren printings of Famous Monsters of Filmland, you know, creepy, eerie, that kind of thing. At my house, my mom actually subscribed to the Twilight Zone magazine, which was awesome. I really actually missed that magazine. That was a great magazine. A lot of you guys might remember it. I mean, it was amazing. They had great, like, original fiction, and they covered a lot of, like, you know, horror movies and genre stuff. So it was a really cool magazine to have around growing up. But until Return of the Living Dead came out, I didn't know that there were other horror magazines really around. You know, it wasn't on my radar.
Stupid asshole! Watch your tongue, boy, if you like this job! Like this job!
One day in 1985, I had just got out from seeing Commando and went across the street to the mall, and I was waiting for my mom to pick me up. And so I'm walking around the mall, and I went into Walden Books. There on the magazine rack was Fangoria number 48. And I just remember, like, what the hell is this? This is awesome. So I'm looking at it, and I scrabbled together to see if I had enough money, and I did. So I had enough change left over because I wound up not buying snacks or something at the movie, and I wound up buying Fangoria number 48 at Walden Books. So let's just go to recap. Number one, 1985, I saw Commando at the theater, walked across the street to a big, awesome mall, wandered around a Walden bookstore, and found Fangoria on a bookshelf in the wild. Being an 80s kid was just fucking awesome, let me tell you.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for Return of the Living Dead tonight. If this video has made you want to find a video store to rent a movie, by all means, check us out on atomicvideostore.com or VCRHorrors.com. We're on all the major social media platforms, and if you really want to help us keep the lights on here at the video store, you can support us on Patreon. When you do visit atomicvideostore.com, remember the video store may be fictional and created for the movie Friday Night Frights. However, if you do fill out the online membership form, you will get a very real Atomic Video membership card in the mail. So don't forget to do that. It'll entitle you to be entered in a contest, all kinds of online exclusives, and it'll keep you up to date on the making of Friday Night Frights. So it's definitely kind of a fun way for us to be interactive with viewers and potential, you know, and fans. So we're going to go ahead and shut the store down. Until next time, everybody, remember your tape is due back by midnight, and be kind, rewind.